One thing about yesterday's game in that absolute shootout that, typically with the Steelers, it's about defense and it's about, the guy coming up and making a play on defense. And, you look at the score yesterday and you think to yourself, well, it was 44-38. There was like little to no defense in the game, right? Well, you'd be wrong in saying that, as there were two forced fumbles on the day, two strip sacks on the day, and there was a scoop and score touchdown, and there was constant pressure on Joe Burrow aside from that first half where the Steelers gave up 21 points. And I felt like the Steelers held them at bay as best they could, you know, until there were basically a couple of garbage time touchdowns that gave Cincinnati a false sense of security. But there was one player in my preview that I said I was getting a little bit worried about, but I think he made a name for himself yesterday. And I mean, it's the first player that you think of when you think of the Steelers nowadays. It's number 90. So let's get on to this. Good Monday morning, everybody. I am Mac, back with another video. As always, do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, follow on Instagram. Link is down in the box below. So how about TJ Watt yesterday, man? Going into this game, I was starting to get a little concerned about him, and I was starting to, you know, have myself sit down here and keep even more of a keen eye on him as the games went by. And if I didn't see much action from him, I'd be sitting down here and voicing my concerns about him. But after really looking at it and then seeing how he did yesterday against the Bengals, where he had two sacks and another forced fumble, and, you know, I can sit down here and beat it to death. I mean, he leads the league in forced fumbles by a wide margin since being drafted in 2017. And he only had another one of those yesterday. Maybe a wake-up call for him when Myles Garrett came on and said that, yeah, I'm number one after the Browns game last Thursday. I think the reason that TJ's impact hasn't been as seen this year as it has in years past, after looking at highlights, after reviewing games, after really looking thoroughly into it, I think that the reason why is that I think he's been facing a lot more true double teams this year. And when he's not been going up against that, he's absolutely been getting chipped. I mean, you see tight ends and receivers and running backs. You see them getting physical with TJ when he's trying to get to the quarterback and when he's trying to make his assignment right. And that's led to a lot of good plays by TJ with stopping the run, but absolutely, when he's not facing double teams this year, he was absolutely getting chipped a lot. And, the biggest concern is that, his pressure rate went down this year. He going into this year, he hadn't had a pressure rate that was below double digits. And, this year, at least going into yesterday, it was at 8.9 going into yesterday, when the lowest that he had was barely over 11. And I think that was in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Even in his defensive player of the year season, TJ didn't have his highest pressure rate that year. That came in 2020 when it was at over 17%. But his pressure rate has gone down, in my opinion, because of those double teams and because he's been getting chipped a lot more lately. And then, you look at him statistic-wise, you expect this guy to come on here and get no fewer than 15 sacks a season. I mean, coming in, you look at the stats, he still had very respectable stats on the season. I mean, he had 7.5 sacks going into yesterday. And I know that a lot of edge players would take that in a heartbeat, but for TJ Watt standards, that's a step below, you know. But yesterday, I think he may have gotten himself back on the right track. He had 2 more sacks yesterday, so all he needs is 1 more sack for yet another double-digit sack season, and he only caused another forced fumble. He had 13 tackles for losses um going into yesterday. So, like I said, I don't think it's because TJ's regressing. I don't think it's because he's overrated. He's far from overrated. He is easily, I mean, come on. You cannot sit down here and try to tell anybody that TJ's overrated. Maybe regressing. I don't know. I wouldn't say that he's regressing. I think maybe that defenses are starting to play him a little bit more wisely now, and that's why we're starting to see his stats not be what they're typically of TJ Watt's standards are. But I think it's because for that reason right there, you know? And when you see stuff like that, you see that it makes more room for the one-on-one coverages on defense that we have out there. That's why you see guys like Cam Hayward turning in a Pro Bowl caliber season at the ripe age of 35 years old. You know, that's why you see when Alex Highsmith is on the field, he's getting a lot of pressure and he's getting physical. He's being, he's taking the charge with the other side of the edge rush. You see it when Keanu Benton is stopping the run. You see it when Pat Queen's coming and making those blitz plays like he did against the Browns. That should have been intentional grounding, but I digress. But you get the point. You see it when Nick Herbig comes in from the other side and he's forcing strip sacks. And, you see it when Peyton Wilson's scooping up the score and he's walking in for a touchdown. It is opening up the gaps for a lot of these other one-on-one coverages. And I think if TJ, if he's not getting those true double coverages right there, I think it's probably because that other teams are just starting to be more physical with him. So, I'm not too concerned about it. I'm not too concerned that TJ's impact hasn't been as noticed in recent years as it has been this year. But like I said, there's a lot of key factors that go into it. I think TJ is going to be just fine. I think that yesterday was definitely the game that he absolutely needed to get back on track and to get back in the talks of being the best defensive player on the planet. And I think next week against the Browns, where he gets another crack at him, where Myles Garrett came in, said that he's better than TJ, TJ's going to want to show him up 100%. So we'll go from there. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments below. These are just my thoughts. I'm not too worried about TJ, but we'll see how it goes. And this is Mac checking on out for the day. Have a good one, everybody.